Hello everyone, I am Mary Shakina. I am working as a guest lecturer in St. Joseph's College of Arts and Science, Cuddalore. In this video, I am going to discuss with you about what is constructor and what are all the types of constructor. So, what is constructor? A constructor in C++ is a special member function which is used to initialize objects of a class. A constructor is nothing but a function. And what is the purpose of constructor? It is used to initialize. Initialize means assigning values to the data members of the class. Hence, it is called as constructor. What are all the characteristics of constructor? A constructor name is same as the class name. That is, the constructor name and the class name is same. Hence, it is called as special member function. It is automatically called when an object of a class is created. Normally, a function will be executed only when it is called. But constructor is automatically called. We will not explicitly call the constructor, but it is automatically called when an object of a class is created. Constructor should be declared in the public section. We should not declare the constructor in the private section. Constructor can be defined inside or outside the class. There is no restriction for it. Constructor definition can be anywhere, whether inside or outside the class. Constructor does not have a return type. The constructor will not return any value, so it does not have a return type. It cannot be inherited. It can have default arguments. It cannot be virtual. These are the characteristics of constructor. Now let's move on to the types of constructor. There are three types of constructor: default constructor, parameterized constructor, copy constructor. Let's discuss about them in detail with an example. What is default constructor? A default constructor does not have any arguments. It has no parameter. That is, a constructor which has no arguments or parameters is called as default constructor. If we haven't any default constructor in the source code means, then the compiler will automatically define the default constructor during the compilation time. This is an example for default constructor. Here the first two lines are the header files. Here the class name is code and these are the data members of the class. In the private section, we can see a function which has the same name as the class name. Here the class name is code and this function name is also code. So this is the constructor. This is default constructor. Why means it has no parameters. So it is called as default constructor. So inside the constructor, we are initializing the values to the data member. Here mark is a data member and inside the constructor, we are initializing the value to the data member mark. And also we are printing the mark value. So let's move on to the main program. In the main program, we are creating the object for the class. Here the class name is code and obj is the object. We are creating one object for the class. We have seen already that the constructor will be automatically called when an object is created. So when seeing this line, the constructor will be automatically called. Here we are not passing any arguments to the constructor. So it is called as default constructor. So the output will be printed mark is equal to 83. Next one is parameterized constructor. Constructor with parameters are known as parameterized constructors. Previously we have seen that constructor without parameters is called default constructor. Here the constructors with parameters are known as parameterized constructors. This type of constructor allows user to pass arguments while object creation. Next, let's see the Benefits of parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor helps in initializing each data member of the class to different values. Using parameterized constructor, we can pass different values to the data member. Parameterized constructor is helpful for constructor overloading. This is an example for parameterized constructor. Here the class name is cube and these are the data members of the class. Here we have seen that the constructor name is same as the class name. Here the constructor name is also cube and the class name is also cube. Here we have one parameter, so it is parameterized constructor. Inside the parameterized constructor, we are assigning the values x to the data member side. It is called as parameterized constructor. Let's see the main function. Inside the main function, we are creating three objects for the class cube. C1 is first object, C2 is second object and C3 is third object. While creating the object, we are passing the parameters to the parameterized constructor. While creating the object, the parameterized constructor will be automatically called and the output 10 will be printed here. While creating the second object, we are passing the values 20 to the parameterized constructor and it will be printed here. And while creating the third object C3, we are passing the value 30 to the parameterized constructor and the output will be printed here. So what is parameterized constructor? A constructor with parameter is called as parameterized constructor. Now let's move on to the third type, copy constructor. These are special type of constructors. A copy constructor is a member function that initializes an object using another object of the same class. A copy constructor is one which copies the values of one object into the another object. It is known as copy constructor. A copy constructor takes the reference to an object of the same class as an argument. Here this is an example for the copy constructor. Here sample is the name of the constructor and it receives the reference to the object as an argument and copying the values of the object into the another object. See in this example, the first object A1 is created and we are passing the value 20 to the parameterized constructor. And next we are creating another object A2 and passing the object A1 as the argument to the copy constructor. See the difference? Here we are passing a value. Here we are passing an object as the argument. This object is passed to the copy constructor. Here the reference of the object is taken and copy the values of one object into another object. Hence it is known as the copy constructor. The values of Ax is 20 in both the object A1 and the object A2. Finally, the multiple constructor. A class having more than one constructor is known as multiple constructor. See in this example, we have default constructor and also the parameterized constructor. Here in the main program, first in this line an object is created and the default constructor will be called. Here we haven't passed any values, so the default constructor will be called. Here in this line, the parameterized, we are passing two parameters, so the parameterized constructor will be called and the output of the default constructor will be displayed here and the output of the parameterized constructor will be displayed here. If the class having more than one constructor is known as multiple constructor. So in this video we have seen about what is constructor and what is default constructor, what is parameterized constructor and what is copy constructor. Thank you.